Congress has been asked to investigate how Elon Musk knew Trump won 4 hours before the 2024 election was called. I mean, hopefully they ask me, because I actually know. So maybe I get summoned in the United States. Elon Musk knew exactly the same way Cenk Uygur knew that Joe Biden won the election hours before it was called. They're both psychers. They're worshiping the ruinous powers, and it allows them to have the foresight of divination. Because how else could they have known, right? They're magicians. The reality is that they're just trying to do this before the midterms. Like, they're trying to get another scandal in order to motivate some of their voting base. They're not trying to get right-wing people to become leftists. They're trying to get leftist people to move their ass to go to vote. The whole idea is to create a sense of danger about democracy. This is what the left has as a platform. Like, this is the only thing they have left. They never talk about improving the economy. They never talk about improving the way of life of the average person. They never talk about lowering taxes or lowering crime rates. These are talking points that they generally just don't have. And I believe that identity politics has also become unpopular. And so literally the only platform that they have is this buzzword. It's like, we're protecting democracy. And so look, the Rocket Man is trying to do tricks. Like, they're cheating. And so in order to prevent them from cheating, we need to go out and vote en masse. This in itself is not a new tactic. It's something that right-wingers have used in the past as well, of course. It's just that it's so weak and it's so pathetic. And it's also working. Because as we get to see, you have a lot of liberals like this with small accounts that never got the viral post saying something like, I've said today that, no, I said since day one that Elon Musk used Starlink to hack the election in favor of Trump. Because there's no fucking way he won all the swing states. And that's the hill I'll fucking die on. If you go on X, there's a lot of hills you need to pick on to die on. But the interesting thing is that they're doing this Congress hearing years after the fact. And they're banking on the fact that people forget how the election went. First and foremost, the Democrats have spent maybe like 2 years to guarantee and assure people that the election machines are not connected to the internet, that they have created the safest election in American history. And it went to the point that if you criticized the holy election, the sacred election of Joe Biden, you could have your social media account canceled. Like, I actually know content creators that had their channels removed simply because they talked about the US election. And there was this content creator, I don't know if he uploads anymore, he had like the whole 4chan motif, Mr. Obvious. And Mr. Obvious actually got his channel demonetized because he talked about the Dominion machines. Like, there were fact checkers, and there were fact checkers even from the European Union that would contradict people on Facebook if they even suggested that there may have been election shenanigans. And so they created the image that they have the most locked down election in human history. Now, the narrative changed. In the beginning, it was there is absolutely no election interference, like none whatsoever. There is no evidence. That's the chant that they had. No evidence of any election shenanigans. Then you had the indisputable evidence. Like, for instance, Steven Crowder actually went to one of the houses that was written on a ballot and found out that there is no place there. They found out that it was fictional. And so they said, okay, well, there is some election interference, but it wasn't enough to swing an election, right? So from the most secure election with no evidence, like, okay, there is some evidence, but not enough. And then, if I'm not mistaken, every single one of the court cases that went through were rejected not on merit, but on standing. In other words, the judges were saying, yeah, you have no right to bring this court case to us because it has to be brought by a different party. And they never actually looked at the evidence Like, sure, there was evidence there, but it was like, you're not the one that's supposed to bring the case in front of us. It's kind of like if I was to go to an American judge and bring a case about election interference, they would say, yeah, okay, like maybe your case has merit, but you're a Romanian, like you do not have the standing to bring it in front of us. And the fact checkers really used this. They milked this dry. They were basically suggesting that, well, all of these instances of election interference went to court. And the implication was like, no, like a judge looked at it and they found that it's a ridiculous claim. When in fact the claims weren't ridiculous. It was that the people bringing it in didn't have the correct formalities. And there's also something that happened which a lot of people forget and don't mention, but Trump's lawyers were actually viciously attacked, especially by Antifa. Like, I remember watching the news back then, and they initially tried to cancel Trump's lawyers, and when they couldn't, they went after their clients. So there were law firms that actually stopped working with President Trump simply because, like, their clients were getting harassed. Like, oh, you're working with a fascist. Oh, he tried to have the January 6th insurrection and blah, 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 blah. And there were phone calls and pressure onto everyone in order to drop the cases. And then you also have the president, Donald Trump, like banned from every single social media website, so he can't defend himself. And so I was convinced, like there is absolutely no possible way to hack the election. And I assume that the same safetyism and the same security that happened during Joe Biden's election would have happened during Trump's election. Like, there's no reason to drop the security measures, right? There was no scandal. It's like, oh, the Republicans have removed the security measures. No. And so how can I believe now that Elon Musk has hacked the election with Starlink, knowing that the machines aren't connected to the internet? Didn't the Democrats tell us this? Wasn't this their argument? Now, how did they know? Everyone fucking knew. Like, you looked at the numbers. You look at Kamala Harris's approval numbers, although in the case of Kamala Harris, you don't even need to do that. You just need to listen to Kamala Harris's speeches, and you can see that she was doing abysmal. And then you actually look at the number of votes 4 hours before closing. And I remember, like, 4 hours before closing, like, Trump was winning another million votes while Kamala was dropping. And so it's like any person that can do this thing leftists can't do, which is called pattern recognition, can say, yeah, he won. And this is like the conversation that happened, as I mentioned before, at the Young Turks with Joe Biden or with Trump and Hillary. Like, if you look at the show with the Young Turks with Trump and Hillary, like, they knew Trump won, I think, like 5 hours, actually, before the count was finished. And people also knew that Joe Biden won hours before it was called. Is everyone a psyker? Did they have their own Elon Musk hacking the elections? No. It's just common sense. And I'm pretty sure that the people in Congress also know this. But at the same time, they know that a lot of liberals are going to be fooled, and they're going to go with this narrative that he stole the election with the satellite. What can you do? They're desperate, so this is all they got. As for right-wingers themselves, I do believe that if the left would come up and they would say, yeah, we don't want any more voting machines at all. Everything should be done by hand, like in the old times. I think a lot of right-wingers would say, you know what? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, let's do it like the old times. Let's just count them. Then yeah, I think you'd have actual bipartisan support. Like most people on the ground, if you were to present a system where you go in there with an ID or some form of verification, just like when you log online on a porn site, Texas, right? You show an ID when you go to vote, and then you have the vote counted by hand. I don't think anyone would disagree with this. Like, most nations do it. Why can't the United States? Like, what is this laziness with machines that obviously and historically have constantly raised concerns? Like, even if the machines are 100% correct, they're still not enough to provide transparency. De facto, like, you look at how the public is reacting, and you look at the efforts in order to convince the public otherwise. And every single election, people bring the machines to doubt. It's like, okay, well, look, when I was at university, every single time you had an exam, you had the professor correcting your paper. Sometimes they used the machine, sometimes they didn't. But the reality is, like, if you weren't happy with the way that the professor corrected it, you were in your right to question the professor. And you could ask the professor to look at it again. And he would. There would be no screaming, no hysteria, no, you're questioning the sanctity of the academy. No, they would literally just look at the election. They would look at the paper again. And if you still weren't happy, you could ask for a commission to be made. Again, the professor wouldn't be upset. This was standard procedure, very rare, but it would happen, right? And you would get a committee of other professors to judge how the previous professor graded you. Sometimes you could get a bigger grade, other times you could get a lower grade, right? And so it was normal, for transparency's sake, for people to know that, well, the system actually works. And if you have doubts, the system is willing to look into it. But the way the Joe Biden election was handled, it's kind of like walking into a room and seeing your wife with her smartphone looking at other men. And the moment you come in, she hides the smartphone. And you're like, what are you doing? Are you cheating on me? And she would be, just by asking that question, you're threatening the sanctity of our marriage. How dare you ask this question? No, we need fact checkers, the European Union. It's kind of like that. It's insane. It's what the fuck? So I do expect that this is going to be in the talks for the next year. Big hysteria about Elon Musk stealing the holy election with the satellite. Nothing will come out of it, obviously. But it's going to be a part of the leftist circus. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you on my live stream. I do have a live stream on another channel. I need to shill it better because apparently the algorithm doesn't announce it anymore. So I'll put a link to it in the comment section. But I'll need to do a better job to tell people that I'm live streaming. Anyway, take care.